Today we'll revise treasury and cash management, which is a part of working capital management. So in treasury and cash management, it is more of a theory topic, but we have to also prepare what is called cash budget. So first you write down a note: treasury management. Treasury management. So what is treasury management? Treasury management is management of funds and risk management. Management of funds and risk management. Second thing is, they will ask you what are the functions of treasury management. Functions of treasury management. So you will write following functions of treasury management. A, you will write they have to manage cash, so cash management. B, write down currency management. They have to deal in different currencies, so how to reduce the risk. Then fund management, point number C. They have to raise funds for their company from different sources, debt, equity. Point number D, write down maintaining good relationship with banking. So banking, cordial relationship with bank. And point number E, corporate finance. So these are the functions of treasury management. But the most important part of this chapter is cash budget. Cash budget is estimation of future receipt and payment of payments. Cash budget is estimation of future receipt and payment. Then format of cash budget. Format of cash budget. So depending on the question, you will have to prepare cash budget for 3 months or 6 months or 1 year. So whatever they will give you, January, February, March, April, May, June. It can be daily also. Okay. So we will first write opening balance, which opening balance of first month they will give to you. Then you will add receipt. So all inflows of cash will be written. Non-cash item will not be written. Bonus share issued will not be written. Depreciation will not be written. Conversion of debenture into equity share will not be written. Then you will write total cash available. It will be A plus B. So you will take the total of cash available. Point number D, you will write payment. Under this you will write all payments made in cash. Then point number E, you will write balance. Balance will be C minus D. Total cash available minus total payment is balance. If the problem does not require you to keep minimum cash balance, then only 5 points are enough. But some question may require you to maintain minimum cash balance also. And they will also ask you that in case of surplus, make investment. In case of deficiency, you can borrow money. If the problem requires you to maintain minimum balance and invest surplus money or borrow deficiency, then you will add following more points. which I am going to write in red font. Point number F, minimum cash balance. If problem asks you to ensure that company maintains minimum cash balance. Point number G would be surplus or in bracket deficiency E minus F. E minus F. Point number H will be if you have surplus, then you will invest the temporary surplus. Investment of temporary surplus. If you have surplus in point number G, after keeping minimum balance, if you are getting a positive answer, that is surplus. Investment of temporary surplus. Then in case if you have deficiency, then either you will redeem the investment or borrow funds. Is it right? Point number I will be used when there is a deficiency. Either you redeem the previous temporary investment or borrow funds. Point number J will be closing cash balance. Closing cash balance. So closing cash balance will be your balance in point number E minus investment if any and plus borrowing if any. So that will give you closing balance. The closing balance of first month will become opening balance of the next month. So next month this opening balance you will take it from closing balance of January. If the problem does not have minimum cash balance or investment or borrowing, then only write 5 points. Is it right? Then only you will write just 5 points A, B, C, D and E. Then in your syllabus you have next concept is float. Float means time lag between two events. Time lag between two events. That is delay. Right? That is time lag between two events. So what are the examples of float? Examples of float are check mailing float. That is the gap between the customer sends you the check and the check is received by the seller. Then check processing float. The time between check received and check deposited in the bank. And then we have bank processing float. The time taken by the bank for clearance of the check. You have deposited on Monday but check clears on Thursday. So that is bank processing float. Okay. Then methods of reducing float. Methods of reducing float. So under methods of reducing float, in your syllabus you have concentration banking, where you will open a collection center for collecting checks of that city and depositing in the company's bank account. And there is a logbox system where you will open a post office box in the city of the customer and instruct your bank to collect the check from that post office box and deposit in your account. These are the methods of reducing float. Then we have cash management models. Next heading, write down cash management models. Under cash management model, you have William J. Baumol model. William J. Baumol model. So according to this model, optimum cash balance is equal to under root 2AT upon I, where A is equal to annual cash disbursement. Annual cash disbursement. T is the transaction cost. T means transaction cost, which is brokerage commission per transaction. It is assumed that transaction cost per transaction will remain fixed, and I stands for interest rate or opportunity cost per annum. Is right. Total transaction cost. Total transaction cost will be equal to number of transactions into transaction cost per transaction. Total transaction cost will be equal to number of transactions into transaction cost per transaction. But one more thing I need to tell you, number of transactions will be equal to total annual cash disbursement upon optimum cash balance. That will give you the number of transactions. Number of transactions will be annual cash disbursement divided by optimum cash balance. Okay. Below that, write down, continue, average cash balance. Average cash balance will be optimum cash balance divided by 2. Optimum cash balance divided by 2. Total interest cost will be equal to average cash balance into interest rate per annum. Basic thing, but you should know. In one exam, they have asked this basic question, and therefore total cost will be equal to total transaction cost plus total interest cost. Total transaction cost plus total interest cost. Right? Then there is one more model called Miller-Orr. This is the second model, Miller-Orr cash management model. So this I will explain with the help of a diagram. This Miller-Orr cash management model says the firm will define 3 limits of managing cash. lower control limit, upper control limit, and return point. As long as the cash balance are fluctuating in this range, no action is required. But if the cash balance goes above or goes below this range, then the firm will have to buy or sell securities and reach the return point. So let us call it U, R, L. Okay. So see, the cash balance will fluctuate. If it is fluctuating between the upper control point and lower control point, no action required. But the moment it reaches the upper control point, one action will be required here, and that action will be buy investment. Don't carry excess cash. And how much cash, how much investment you will buy? U minus R. This much, so that the balance becomes equal to return point. And again, let the cash balance fluctuate. One day, suppose it reaches the lower control point, one action will be required here. What is action? Sell investment. Sell investment equal to R minus L. And you will again come back to, and again it will fluctuate. So this way it continues. So this is called Miller-Orr cash management model. This x-axis is time. X-axis is time. Sometimes you are right. Okay. So this is Miller-Orr cash management model. So now we'll go to one question. There is a question at the end of your chapter. Just check. November 22 exam question. Question number 13. This is November 2022 exam question for 5 marks. Question is K Limited, just check the number, this question, K Limited 13. K Limited has quarterly cash outflow of rupees 9 lakh. Underline this term, quarterly, means 3 months, of rupees 9 lakh. So annual will be 9 lakh into 4, 36 lakh. Okay. So annual cash disbursement will be how much? If it is 9 lakh per quarter, so it will be 36 lakh, arising uniformly during the quarter. Company has an investment portfolio of marketable security. It plans to meet the demand for cash by periodically selling the marketable security. Marketable securities are generating a return of 12% per annum. So the interest rate is 12% per annum. This is for formula. The transaction cost of converting investment into cash is 60 rupees. So this is transaction cost per transaction, which we will call T, is equal to rupees 60. The company uses Baumol model to find the optimum transaction size for converting marketable security into cash. Take 360 days in a year, calculate company's average cash balance, number of conversions each year, and the time interval between two conversions. So there are 360 days in a year. Divide by number of conversions will give you time interval between two conversions. Is it right? So how do I solve this question for 5 marks? Please write down in detail. One day you have to appear in the exam also. Write little fast. First write quarterly cash outflow. Quarterly cash outflow rupees 9 lakh. Quarterly cash outflow rupees 9 lakh. Therefore, annual cash outflow 9 lakh into 4 quarters. Come on, 9 lakh into 4. 36 lakh rupees. Then write down transaction cost per transaction. Transaction cost per transaction. Rupees 60. Opportunity cost per annum. Opportunity cost per annum in bracket I is equal to 12%. I is equal to 12%. So all basic data first you will write. Presentation is important. Then write down as per Baumol model. As per Baumol model. As per Baumol model, optimum cash balance equal to under root 280 upon I. 2 into 36 lakh into 60 divided by 12%, take square root. Anybody wants to reply? 60,000. 60,000 is your optimum cash balance, means you will convert investment into cash 60,000 rupees at a time. So you will convert investment into cash 60,000 rupees every time. Then you will use it. It becomes 0. Again you withdraw 60,000 rupees. Now write down the question was what is average cash balance. Average cash balance is not 60,000. You will withdraw 60,000 on day 1, but then it will get used and it becomes 0. So what is my on an average cash balance? Optimum cash balance divided by 2. Optimum cash balance divided by 2. 60,000 divided by 2. So this is average cash balance you are carrying. Because you are going to consume 60,000 slowly, one day it becomes 0. So average means 0 plus 60,000 divided by 2. Or directly take 60,000 by 2, 30,000. Next question was number of conversions each year. Number of conversions each year. Number of conversions each year. So number of conversions will be annual cash outflow divided by optimum cash balance. Annual cash outflow divided by optimum cash balance. 36 lakh divided by 60,000. Are you getting 60,000? 60 times 60 conversions. So one number of conversions are 60. In a year there are 360 days and you have to withdraw 60 times in a year. So after a gap of how many days you are going to withdraw money? 360 days are there. You are withdrawing 60 times in a year. So write down, which is your question number 3 in the question book. Time interval between two conversions. Time interval between two conversions. You will write 360 divided by 60. So what will be your answer? 6 days. So after every 6th day, you have to convert security into cash. This will minimize your total opportunity cost and transaction cost. This will minimize your total opportunity cost and transaction cost. So that was a question on Baumol model asked in November 2022 exam. Now we'll take question number 10. Question number 10 will not take. We'll take 11 number. Come to question number 11. 10 number we have done in the regular class, yes or no? So I would give you a different question. Question number 11. From the study material, good question. One problem will practice on cash budget. Consider the balance sheet of Maya on 31st December 2020. Underline the balance sheet date 31/12/2020. The company has received a large order and anticipates the need to go to its bank to increase its borrowing. As a result, it has to forecast its cash requirement for January, February and March 2021. Okay. So my cash requirement has to be estimated for which 3 months? January, February and March. Typically, the company collects 20% of its sales in the month of sale. 20% is collected in the month of sale, 70% in the subsequent month, next month, and 10% in the second month after the sale. So this will be required for collection from debtor. This will be required for collection from debtor. 20% in the same month, 70% in the second subsequent month, and 10% in the second month after the sale. All sales are on credit basis only. Now you are given one balance sheet on 31st December. So this is the balance sheet. We will call it opening balance sheet. Is it right? Rupees in 1000. Share capital, retained earning, long-term borrowing, accounts payable, loan from bank, other liabilities, net fixed asset, inventory. So this is opening stock. This is opening debtor. This is opening cash and bank. This is opening creditor. Understood? Which may be required while solving. Purchase of raw material are made in the month prior to the sale. Purchase of raw material are made in the month prior to the sale and amounts to 60% of the sale. Payment for these purchases occur in the month after purchase. Is it right? Now understand. Sale. Assume sale is in February. So when will purchase be made? Purchase will be made
prior to the month of sale.
In which month? Purchases will be made in January, which will be equal to 60% of the sales value. And when will the payment for these purchases will be made? Payment will be made after 1 month. So which month? In February only. So in short, if suppose you are given February sale figure, let us say February sale is 1000. It will be purchased in January 600 rupees. But the payment will be made in February 600 rupees. So can I directly take 60% of the respective month sale as payment to the supplier?
Yes, sir.
Can I take 60% of the respective month sale as the amount paid to supplier?
Yes, sir. Okay.
Next line. Labor costs including overtime are expected to be 1,50,000 in January, 2 lakh in February, and 1,60,000 in March. Very easy. Selling, administrative, tax and other cash expenses are expected to be 1 lakh per month for January through March. So 1 lakh every month. Actual sale in November and December and the projected sale for January through April are as follows. So November and December are actual sale and these are projected, means estimated, because we are preparing a cash budget. On the basis of this information, prepare a cash budget and determine the amount of additional bank borrowing necessary to maintain a cash balance of 50,000 at all times for the month of January, February and March. So how much is the minimum cash balance required?
50,000.
So if your balance is below 50,000, you will have to borrow money, additional bank loan you have to take. Not only that, they have also asked you to prepare pro forma balance sheet on 31st of March. So first we will concentrate on cash budget. So for that I will require one small working note to write down step number 1. Good student will start writing calculation of collection from debtors. You can directly do in cash budget also, or you can prepare a working note, whatever suits you. Choice is yours. Is it right? So write down month of sale. Then write down sales amount and write month of collection. Under that 3 columns, January, February, March, because this is the scope of our cash budget. Any other presentation, if you have learnt, you can follow that. No problem with that. Okay. So we'll start from November, December, January, February and March. Sir, why you have written November? Why you have written November? Because the question says, if you sell in the month of November, then how much will be collected in November only? 20%, 70% in December, 10% in the month of January. So therefore I require November sale data also. Haji. So write down, dear student, November sale amount is 500, 600, write down rupees in thousand in every format. 600 again, 1000 and March 650. Okay. Please understand, out of the sales made in November, 20% is collected in November, 70% is collected in December, but 10% will be collected in January. So please take 10% of 500. Is it 50? In bracket, if you have space, 10% of 500. Now come to December. In case of December, 20% sale has already been collected in December, but 70% will be collected in January. So 600 into 70%, 420, and 10% of 600 will be collected in February, 60. 10% of 600, 60. What about January? 20% in the same month, 70% in next month, 420, 10% in second month after the sale. 60, 10% of 600. Second month after the sale, 2 months after the sale, February, 20% in the same month will be collected, 200, and 70% in the first month after the sale. How much is 70%? 700. In case of March, 20% in the same month. Haji? 130. So kindly tell me the total of collections made in January. January is 590. Wonderful. February 680. 890. One student is saying 890. Is everybody right?
Yes, sir.
Wait a minute. Because we have to prepare balance sheet also, I need to also check debtors balance on 31st March 2021. Debtors balance on 31st March 2021. I am asking you a question. What is the debtors balance on 31st March 2021? This January is fully collected. January is fully collected. What about February? In February you have sold 1000, but you could collect only 200 plus 700.
Yes, sir. 100 there.
So 100
100 plus
is
520.
out of February sale. 100 out of February sale plus, now you see 650 you have sold here,
And 130 has been
130 you have collected,
520.
plus 520 out of March sales. Have you understood? So that total 620 should appear in the balance sheet. Okay, so debtor balance on balance sheet as on 31st March 2021 will be 620. So easy to understand that sale made 1000, collected 900, so 100 is the balance. Sale made 650, collected 130, so 520 is still outstanding. So total debtor balance will be 620,000. Any question on this? No question. Then you prepare cash budget now. Write down next heading, step 2. Student will write in step by step format. This gives more weightage to your mark sheet. Cash budget. Then write down for the period from January to March, if possible write year also, 2021. Is it right? So far understandable? Say yes. 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 Serial number. Particulars. And then write down 3 columns. January, February, March. First, you will write point number A, write down opening cash balance. Point number B, write down receipts. Point number B, write down receipts. Keep 2 lines or 3 lines blank. Then write down total cash available. Total cash available, A plus B. Everybody write down nicely. Revise again and again. Okay, revise again and again. Tell your friends also to revise. Point number D. Payments. Under payment keep 5 lines blank. Then you will take total D. Total of payment. Point number E. Just write balance. Point number F. Write down minimum cash balance required. This is a problem of minimum cash balance.
That's uncleared and cleared.
There is no uncleared cleared. This is minimum cash balance. You want to keep a minimum amount in your
Yes, that's
wallet.
what I'm
There is no question of uncleared cash balance. Don't confuse, please.
okay, because
So minimum cash balance requirement is how much? 50,000. We will assume whatever is the date of or timing of payment given cleared in that month. Okay. Unnecessary, you are confusing different things. Point number next. Surplus or deficit. Surplus or deficit. Surplus or deficit. Point number I. Borrowing. So they are saying if there is a deficit, you will borrow. If there is a deficit, you will borrow oblique repayment of borrowing. If you have borrowed earlier, then you can repay also, so that you don't have to pay interest. Is it right now? Point number J, write down closing cash balance. Very easy format. I'll revise again. This type of format is required when the question says the company is required to maintain a minimum cash balance. The moment your balance is likely to fall below this, then you will borrow money. Or in case if you borrowed in previous month and you have surplus in the subsequent month, then you can repay the borrowing also. Why to pay interest when you have surplus cash? Okay. Otherwise, suppose there is no minimum cash balance required. There is no question of borrowing or investment of surplus. Then you will only write up to point number E. And it will become your closing balance, and next month it will become opening balance. So I have taken a problem which will serve all the concept. Okay. So are you ready? Ding, 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 ding. Yes. So how do I get opening cash balance? You will go to balance sheet of the question. Asset side last line. 50 rupees in 1000 you have written here. Write rupees in 1000 for those who have not written. 50. Then under receipt write down collection from debtors. That is the purpose of preparing step 1. Can you go to step 1 and guide me? How much was collection from debtor in January? 590. Next. 680. 890. Okay. Come to payment side. Receipt side only one item. Payment side we have payment to creditor. Point number D1. Payment to creditors. So we will take 60% of sales. 60% of sales of respective month. That I have explained it to you. Okay, if suppose sale of January is given, you will purchase in December but pay in January only. But pay in January only. So my dear student, go to your question book. January sale is 600 into 60%. 60% of 600. Go to February sale. 1000 into 60%. 600. March 650 into 390. 60% of 650. 60% of 650. Is it right? Any query? Now what about that April 750 sale? That they must have purchased in March. But payment is not yet made. So that will appear in accounts payable, right below this table before you forget. Accounts payable. Accounts payable, because it is easy to explain right now. Accounts payable on 31st March 2021 will be equal to 60% of April sales. Yes, that is why April sales are given. So 60% of 750. How much? This will go in balance sheet. Rupees in 1000. So immediately you will understand better. Debtors we have got, accounts payable we have got. Come back to your question. Now the problem is very easy. Keep the question in front of you. Below the balance sheet, second line. Question in front of you. Below the balance sheet, second line, labor cost including overtime are 1,50,000, 2 lakh and 1,60,000. Then selling administrative tax and other cash expenses are 1 lakh per month. So can I put these two numbers in payment? Yes, write down labor cost. Labor cost including overtime. Labor cost including overtime. You are writing in 1000. So first month 150. Question is from study material of the institute. You can check the question there. Second one is how much? 200. Third. Very good. Third write down. Third write down selling administrative taxes and other cash expense. Selling administrative taxes and other cash expenses. That is 1 lakh means 100. Can I write? We are writing in 1000. So I think we have covered all the three expenses given in the problem. So can you tell me total of payments, or one by one will come close? Total of receipt 600 and
No, receipt of 640.
640.
610.
610.
30 balance.
Balance is 30. Oh,
20.
oh my God, balance is 30. But I require 50. So there is a deficiency. 20. So what I'll do? Borrow 20. So my closing cash balance will become 50 again. Point number E plus minus point number I. Is it right? Plus minus means if it is borrowing then plus, if it is repayment then minus. Repayment, what do you put in bracket? This 50 you take it to the opening balance in February. Calculator again. 730. Payment 900. 170 is already negative. And you require 50 positive balance. So sad. You have a Total deficit of 220.
220 borrowing.
So you have to borrow 220.
Plus 50 balance.
Balance will again be 50.
Opening balance 50.
How this 50 has come? This minus 170
Minus 50.
plus 220.
Balance plus borrowing.
E plus I. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Many students find it difficult. Try again, you'll understand.
50. Sir, 940.
940.
650.
650.
290 positive.
290.
240 borrowing. 240 surplus.
240 surplus.
The repayment of borrowing 240.
So should we repay?
Yes, sir. पूरा clear है.
Balance will be 50.
पूरा repay.
Yes. Balance is repaid. Okay.
So in this case, if they have given us the borrowing, then
One student is asking a doubt. Yes, come on, gentlemen.
so this is an ideal format in which we don't have interest rate and borrowing.
Yes. Otherwise, you have to compute interest also. You have to compute interest also. Rate will be given to you, and then they will give you when is the interest required to be paid. The interest may be required to be paid either next month or quarterly. So all interest calculate and pay in that respective month. Earlier they used to ask such difficult question, but now they have reduced the intensity of the problem now. So they have removed the interest part from this question. Okay. Earlier you had to compute interest on 20, interest on 240, and also consider in the expenses of the next month.
Payment.
Yes. Oh. Anyway, so what is my cash balance?
50.
This 50 will go to balance sheet. So this is a balance sheet item. Okay. So in balance sheet, we will have fixed asset, same figure. Inventory we can calculate. Accounts receivable we have already calculated. Bank balance will be 50 as we have seen just now. This 50 will appear in balance sheet. Share capital will not change, but retained earning will change because we are given sale, purchase, labor, selling and administrative expense. So I need to recalculate retained earning figure. Long term borrowing will not change. Accounts payable we have computed. Loan from bank will not change because whatever we had borrowed has been repaid, and other liabilities also will not change. So I need to prepare 2 more working notes. Step 2 you have written. Right above this step 3, this was accounts payable on 31st March 2021. Step 4, write down inventories on 31st March 2021. So how do you compute inventory? First you will take opening stock. Opening stock is given in opening balance sheet. Can you refer and check 545? Point number B. Add purchases from January to March. So that will be equal to 60% of sale made in February, March and April. Yes or no? In the month of January, they will purchase an amount equal to 60% of February sale. So I will take 60% of February is how much? February is 1000, March is 650 and April is 750. So we'll have to take 60% of that. How much is that?
1440.
Final answer. Less. cost of goods sold less cost of goods sold. Goods sold. You have sold some inventory also, na? So that will be equal to 60% of January to March sales. So that is 60% of January sale is how much? 600 plus 1000 plus 650. 1350 is the value of the inventory you have sold, cost of inventory sold. So what you are left with is closing stock. Learned student, please reply. A plus B minus C. Presentation should be such that people should be wondering who is your teacher. Okay. So what is your closing balance? Is it 635? Is it 635?
Yes, sir.
Louder, yes.
Yes, sir.
That's better. Now one more last working note and then balance sheet. Okay. So step number 5, write down. Step number 5, write down. Retained earnings on 31st March 2021. Right hand side 2 columns, rupees in thousand, rupees in thousand. First point A, opening balance. First point, write down opening balance. Question in front of you, balance sheet in
1439.
opening balance of retained earning in the opening balance sheet. Second line 1439. And point number B, add profit for 3 months. No. First write down Roman 1 sales. Sales you will take from January to March. Please take on your Chinese calculator 600 plus 1000 plus 650.
2250.
2250. Then you write down 2 cost of goods sold, which we have computed here, 1350. Cost of goods sold in bracket 1350. Then you write down labor. Labor we have to add, take January to March, 150 plus 200 plus 160. Is it 510? And then write down point 4 other expenses. 100 into 3 times, 3 months. Each month 100. Is it 90? So point C will be balance on 31st March 21. A plus B. 1529. 1529. So let us now prepare last step. Very good question for 10 marks, possible 10 marks. Write down pro forma balance sheet. Pro forma means projected, not actual, based on our estimated figures. Pro forma balance sheet as at 31st March 2021. rupees in thousand. Right here, rupees in thousand. Liabilities, rupees, assets. Practice this question. They will ask in the exam, and then you may not be able to prepare balance sheet because you have to visualize. So many figures are required to solve it. Okay. So we'll start from the liability side. Any query you can ask me now. Equity share capital,
100.
no change. One line blank. Retained earning.
Step number 4 on the
In bracket you will write step 5. On the left side of the screen you will see below 1529. Long term borrowing, no change. So long term borrowing, student please write same figure 450. Accounts payable, we have written one step number for that. Step number 3, correct. Is it 450? All explanations have been given to you. Loan from bank will not change because whatever was borrowed has been repaid. Understood? We borrowed 240, we repaid 240. And one last item, other liability. If nothing is given, we'll keep it same, 212. Go to asset side, net fixed asset, nothing is given, no depreciation, no purchase, no sale, 1836. Inventories we have computed in one working note. Kindly go to step number 4, previous step number 4. Anybody who wants to answer? Haji? 635. Okay. Accounts receivable we have computed in step 1. Step 1. Was it 620? And cash and bank in step number 2. Step 2, last month, last line. 50. Let us check whether the balance sheet is tallying or not. This is how companies also prepare their projected balance sheet and P&L account and cash flow statement. Okay. It's not telling. Why it is not telling, I don't know. This is 3141. Okay, asset side valid. If it is interest, then you have to check whether interest is paid or not. If it is paid, then it will go in cash budget. And if it is not paid, it will go to balance sheet. Yes, interest payable, but problem is silent on interest. Note, interest on borrowing is ignored. Interest on borrowing is ignored. Okay. If the question requires interest payment, then calculate interest and pay in that month as specified in the question. As specified in the question. If interest is not paid, then interest payable will appear in liability side of balance sheet.
Yes, sir.
Happy?
Yes, sir.
So kindly practice more questions from your study material, RTP, MTP, past exam, or if you have any other reference book, you can practice from that also. Okay. So either they will ask you a question on cash budget or Baumol model from this.
Hmm.
So this chapter is
Over.
over. Did you like it?
Yes, sir.
Say like.
Like.
Yes.
Okay.